I dealt with mental health issues as a teenager, was diagnosed with depression when I was 13. And at the time, my family didn't believe in, mental health issues. It was kind of like, oh, you just being sensitive, you just brush it under the rug and you keep it moving. But I had this desire of just, at the time, I'm like, I want to fix myself, right? There was always something that just would not allow me to give up. Even when I thought I was going to give up, there was something that just wouldn't let me. There's beauty in that dark place. And that we can take, if we really dig deep, if we're really willing to do the work, and you have to be willing to go there, to call yourself out, but call yourself out with love and with grace, and say, yes, this is what I'm struggling with. This is a challenge for me. This is where I fall short, but I don't have to stay there. And here's another thing that I love to say: you heal what you reveal. One of my favorite quotes is, "In the center of in the center of your being, you know who you are and what you want." That's by Lao Tzu. It's a Chinese philosopher. So listen to you first, and block out the rest of the noise.
I ain't acting, I'm just speaking what I see behind the lens. Even though I'm speaking roles, the creator I am.
Watch the rest devour.
Peace, love, prosperity, family. It's King Enlighten on the Move Different podcast. This is Move Different Mondays. And today I bring to you another special guest. This guest, I've known her for quite some time now. We've done some talks. We did some topics around mindset, relationships. But now that I started the podcast, it's only right to bring her in. Today I bring to you Nita Hughley, professional and personal development facilitator and entrepreneur and motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, empowered speaker. I'm losing my words. But she's a great speaker. I can't wait till you hear from her. And Nita, I would like to say thank you for joining the Move Different podcast.
Thank you. Happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
So it's been a long time since we've been seeing each other with these topics. And I've been looking for some guests. I'm not from Kansas City, but I've been out on the scene looking for like men, women that are like just change makers or doing something. I feel like there's so many podcasts out there. All they want to do is highlight people that have already made a certain dollar amount in their life or this whole material gains. But I don't really want to interview people who are making impact that don't really get that stage and that platform to let people know what they're doing in the community or let alone who they are and what they inspire to do. Mm-hmm. So besides me, bragging on about my podcast and why I do this, let the audience know a little about, who you are, where you're from, and what it is that you do.
Yeah, so again, like you said, my name is Nita. By day, I am a professional development specialist. I also deal with personal development as well. I consider myself a facilitator because I put on workshops and presentations often for work and just outside of work that I do. I've done work with nonprofits. I've also used to lead a support group for queer youth. And that recently got discontinued because of budget cuts. Mm-hmm. But I love doing that. And for me, I'm just really passionate about talking about personal growth, but also professional growth as well.
I love it. And thank you for doing what you're doing in the community. One thing, personal growth. So when we hear that, one of the biggest things that comes to my mind is what got you on that journey, or have you always been on that journey since you was a kid?
I will say yes. I have been a kid that always wanted something better. I didn't come from the greatest environment. Just like a lot of us experienced a lot of trauma growing up. And I just always had this innate feeling inside of me of certain things around me just not being right. This is not how it is. And that's not how I want to be. And so I dealt with mental health issues as a teenager, was diagnosed with depression when I was 13. And at the time, my family didn't believe in, mental health issues. It was kind of like, oh, you just being sensitive, you just brush it under the rug and you keep it moving. But I had this desire of just, at the time, I'm like, I want to fix myself, right? Mm-hmm. And so I got really into psychology, also got really into spirituality and philosophy, just doing a lot of reading, a lot of studying, watching different, YouTube speakers and, just doing my research and trying my best to apply that information to my life. Getting older, my teenage years, going into my 20s, I realized that I wanted to spread this information, the information that I had gotten and seen the impact in my life. I didn't want to hog that information, and I really wanted to be a support system for other people because I knew what it felt like to feel like you had nobody.
That part.
So, and I just was really sensitive to people who were going through things and dealing with a lot of challenges and felt like they didn't have people because that was always my experience. So really dealing with trauma, dealing with the mental health issues really was the thing that got me on that journey. I don't know what it is in me, and I'm so grateful for it, but there was always something that just would not allow me to give up. Mm-hmm. Even when I thought I was going to give up, there was something that just wouldn't let me. And I call it resiliency. And, and it's the reason why I'm here. It's the reason why I continue to do what I do. And to also just, again, to try to my best just to support people. I don't have all the answers. I'm not perfect. I'm still learning and growing. But if anything, to my friends, to my family, people close to me, I'm like, I'm here. Shit, even if you just want somebody to vent to, I'm here. And if there's any resources or anything I can give you, I will, So yeah. It's been a journey.
I love it.
An insightful journey, a healing journey. It still is one.
I know. And speaking of that, at Available Healing, you can definitely find it on social media. And I love the name of that, Available Healing. Mm-hmm. I love it. So when you mention personal growth, a lot of people that I've encountered back in the day, they all say, I'm working on myself. And I'm like, how you work? How you going about that? I'm taking it day by day. Mm-hmm. I'm like, okay, and you ain't doing nothing else? I mean, I pray. And when we say, I pray, it sounds like you do that when you feel like when you call or times is worse. Mm-hmm. So when you was going through your personal growth, were there books you were listening to? Was there therapy sessions you were going through? Like, give us a little bit of details, like far as how was that personal journey of growth, the tools and things you were doing? Yeah.
And, I really wish I can remember all the books that I've read. I know one book that me and you have in common is the Think and Grow Rich. Yeah, that was a book that I remember, and you're the one that recommended that to me, and I still have it in my library, and it's a book that I always recommend. There were some really books that dealt with more spirituality. That was like the Four Agreements was a big one for me. And then they had another one that was by the same author, or I think his son, that was OMG. Mm-hmm. It's like I can see it too. It's something dealing with self-mastery, which is something I also got really into. And so, self-mastery is in the title.
Is it, because when I hear mastery, I think of three people. I think of Robert Greene, who wrote the 40 Laws of Realm book, his mastery book, Self-Mastery. And then I think Tony Robbins has a mastery book, and John C. Maxwell. Mm-hmm. So you think it might be one of the three?
No, it's like the last name is Ruiz. So Don something Ruiz, the person that wrote the Four Agreements, his son is, it's like the wisdom of the shaman. It might be that. But anyway, look into the people that had the person that wrote the Four Agreements, and then there's also these other books that are related to it that tend to come up as well when you're talking about those books. But that one had a big impact on me. The Alchemist, even though it was a fictional story, just the meaning of it really stood out to me. 5 favorites. Yeah, and you talked about Tony Robbins was somebody that I always Used to watch his speeches online. Also, your mentor, the speaker, Les Brown. I'm also been a really big fan of Oprah Winfrey as well. Her Super Soul Sundays, when she would, kind of like what you're doing, have different thought leaders come on. She interviews them, asking these really deep and powerful questions. And I just like listening to stuff that really makes me think. That's why I like abstract movies as well.
Give me an example.
Yeah.
What's next 3 abstract movies like?
So I'll tell you the most recent one that I saw, and it actually got really bad reviews on it, but I liked it because I got the meaning of it, and it was Megalopolis. And so it really talked. It took this idea of what if America was the new Rome. And you remember how Rome fell. Now I don't know all the specifics. I didn't pay attention to history, but there is a whole thing around why Rome fell, and it deals with a lot of corruption. It deals with the political, like similar to what we're dealing with right now, with so much chaos going on in our politics. And it touches on that too, and it takes this metaphor of Rome falling, but instead America's the new Rome, and it's falling. With all its, just so many people on different sides. Nobody wants to hear each other out. Everybody wants to just say, I'm right, you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. But, and you had one person that's on the side of, I want things to stay the same. I want basic needs to be met. And then you have this other person that's looking towards the future. And I'm like, this is all great and everything, but what about how bigger this could be or how greater this could be? And there was a lot of fear in change, whereas one person is so willing to have change and doesn't want to stay the same. Another person is afraid of change and wants to stay the same. But one thing I liked about that movie is you really couldn't tell who was the villain because they both had really valid points. And so the very beginning, you would think that one person's the antagonist, and then, the movie goes on like, no, they might be the protagonist. And another person is like, no, they're not wrong either. And so the meaning for it for me really was thinking about the future. And what do we want that future to look like, and how we have to stop fighting each other. And really it takes all of us to create this world that we have to live in. So it has a really powerful message, and it was a really abstract movie. I mean, it's kind of hard to follow. Yes. It's visually really stunning. But, even though it being hard to follow, I honestly think it was intentional. I think I feel like they meant to fuck with us a little bit. It's like, I don't want to just give it to you. I really want to like mess with you a little bit and make you think and come up with your own ideas. And that's kind of what it took from it. So I can go on and on. I love films.
Speaking of loving films, so what is your number one go-to film?
Let's see.
You can pick a genre, because I know we got many
genre. Yeah.
Yeah.
Horror. Okay. I don't know what it is. I love horror and horrors. No, I'm just kidding.
I had just made a BTS post of my last guest, Duchess. I was talking about like what's her commentary on a woman that don't want men approaching her like she's a whore, but her profile pictures her ass bent all over. It's like, ooh, my type of girl. When she come, it threw me off. Y'all be having all the remarks that just it's hilarious, but yeah. Yeah,
I say that because that's a word that I always, every time I say it, it sounds like I'm saying whore.
So
horror, not horror, whatever. Yeah. But I love scary movies, but comedy too. But yeah, that's my go-to. I don't know, something about it comforts me in a weird way. I don't know what that says.
It says that you're a brilliant man. you're a little more embracive of your dark side.
Yeah, people will be like, "What's going on?"
Speaking of that, let's pause it a little bit.
Yeah,
and let's unpack this. I believe it was Tony Robbins and other people. They said it's even Jay Shetty. All of us have light and we have dark. We have the yin and the yang. But there's power in the darkness if you know how to embrace it. But most people, when they hear that and they are part of a religion, they're not spiritual, they think darkness and automatically seem evil, hell. But in darkness, everything's developed. From the baby in the darkness in the womb developed, from the seed in the ground that produced fruits and vegetables, everything in the dark produces light. What is your take as far as what you've learned over the years and read about our dark side?
Like you were saying, you can't have light without dark. And I love how you said, like, even with a baby, it starts in the dark, you know, and learning to embrace that is scary, but it is necessary. And we have to learn to really, to not hide from ourselves. And that's a lesson that was really hard for me to learn, because one of my limiting beliefs that I held on for for a long time was that all of me isn't lovable, only the good parts. So even when I would get in relationships with people, or how I would present myself, if I went to a networking event or something like that, I felt like I can't be the totality of me, which also includes that dark part, because then I would be unlovable. People wouldn't want me. People wouldn't want to be around me. And that was just a belief that I have held on for so long. And I've done a lot of work being in therapy and just really, like I said, doing the work, learning to embrace your flaws. I've gotten better with it, but I still struggle with that still sometimes, you know. But we talk about the dark side. It can also be phrased as the shadow side.
That's the word.
You know, so there is meaning in that, and I think too it is. I can't remember the exact quote, but it's something along the lines that there's a beautiful disaster or something like that, or there's beauty in that dark place, and that we can take, if we really dig deep, if we're really willing to do the work, and you have to be willing to go there, to call yourself out, but call yourself out with love and with grace, and say, yes, this is what I'm struggling with. This is a challenge for me. This is where I fall short, but I don't have to stay there. And here's another thing that I love to say: you heal what you reveal.
Ooh,
you know, and I didn't come up with that. You heal what you reveal. I didn't come up with that. I don't remember where, but I've heard it before. And that has really been a saying that has shaped a lot of me dealing with my baggage, especially when I'm trying to unpack my trauma, and I'm in therapy doing that. Because what stays hidden, you know, we then carry around this baggage, and it gets so heavy on our shoulders when, you know, like, okay, you can carry around that baggage. It's going to get really heavy. It's going to break you down. And that's okay too. Sometimes we need to be broken down at different stages in life. We have to do that. I think there's something special about that too.
It is. All construction and land, everything that's built that's beautiful must first go under destruction. Construction, which takes first destruction, break the ground,
absolutely, to build something new up. And that, I think that's what it really comes down to, is don't fear the dark, ask it questions, get curious about it. Say, you know, the best thing you can be is curious. A lot of people don't have enough curiosity because they're too afraid. You can have fear, but you can still be curious. Why is the fear? Well, why do I behave this way? Why do I think these things? Why are these thought patterns, or why are these things following me? Even when it came to me in relationships, why was I attracting the same kind of woman? And again, getting friendly, and it doesn't have to be friendly, just asking myself questions and seeing what comes up, and then just one step at a time working through what comes up. You heal what you reveal. You know?
That's a good segue to bring us into the first topic I like to talk about. So, relationships.
Oh boy.
So yeah, you mentioned, but this is gonna be beautiful though, because I love the work that you do. Like, you're not putting yourself on a pedestal, how where it's like, yeah, I've done the work, I'm this now. No, you still going through work, you're still going through things. But I heard you mention, since a young child, you always had this innate feeling of want to be better and, you know, heal. And then you just mentioned that you became aware and curious, like, why am I attracting these type of women? So let's talk about that. When it comes to relationships, what are some lessons and some transitions that occurred that you had to make, let alone the relationship with yourself, but the relationship with people you deal with, rather that's professionally networking, intimate?
The biggest lesson that I've learned, and I think it hit me finally this year, and that was I'm at fault for a lot of things. And taking accountability for that, because when things don't go your way, the first instinct for me, at least, being in this victim mentality and wanting to put the blame on them. Oh, but I was doing everything. Like I became the kind of person I thought they wanted me to be. And I only showed all the best parts of me. I showed how I'm so healed and I have it all together, which was bullshit. Right?
Yeah.
And trying to, I was putting myself on a pedestal in a very subtle way. I was doing it in a sense that I was trying, again, going to that belief that not all of me is lovable. So I'm going to show you the parts that I think is most lovable and not let you see those other parts. So I was doing them a disservice. For one, they're not really seeing the real me. They're only seeing a part of me. And how can you really get to know somebody if they don't show you who they are? And don't even allow you to experience you, it's a disservice to them too, because you're really great. You're probably a really great person, and if not showing, letting people see who you are, you're letting them miss out on experiencing something really great.
There you go. That's
But I was in a victim mentality for so long, and being in therapy too has made me realize why I was attracting what I was. I realized that I was attracting the toxic relationships I grew up around. I learned. I told myself this year. I said, for one, I'll get to this. My whole idea of what I want in relationships changed a little bit too. But I'll say this too. I said the red flag is that things feel familiar. If it feels familiar, I know that then it's my subconscious that is trying to go after what I know. And what I know wasn't always the healthiest thing. I will say I am so grateful to have friends in my life who were pretty much the first people I developed healthy relationships with. So I didn't know what a healthy relationship really looked like before the age like 23 or 24. Because people came into my life and showed me what that was. But I got to this point where I was attracting emotionally unavailable women. I came from a home where, I wasn't nurtured. There was no emotional vulnerability. I was a very sensitive kid and my emotional needs didn't get met. So naturally, I was drawn to people that reflected back to me what I knew. I was attracted to people who were really inconsistent and would be in and out of my life. I had a parent that was in and out of my life all of the time.
Same.
So that's what I knew. And also, I was attracting people who didn't really know what they wanted. And so also where I realized my fault is I had a problem with glamorizing relationships and not seeing them from a realistic point of view.
Now, I know that sounds to the common person self-explanatory, but unpack that. What do you mean you glamorize?
So for me, as a person with a very vivid imagination, I would, there's someone I'm dating, someone I like, I'm dating. I start to already create the storyline in my head of this kind of ideal relationship. And so because I'm so now like almost like starting to fall in love or fall for a dream rather than reality. So then you start to miss what's right in front of you, people showing you who they really are. So when things are going good, that just kind of feeds the story, right? And you're like, oh yeah, things are going good. But then you miss some of those, or I was missing the not so great parts, the red flags. Because again, I was falling for the story I was telling myself.
God.
So then I being really disrespectful by not seeing the person for who they are. I was seeing them from what I wanted them to be. And every time they didn't live up to what I created them to be in my mind, it was always their fault, right? It was like, you're not doing stuff right. You're a piece of shit or whatever. So that was a really eye-opening. And this year is when it finally made me realize, because of just being a daydreamer, being someone that is almost in love with the idea of love, but was in love with unrealistic expectations. I was going off of fairy tales that I see on movies, Hallmarks, Christmas time, you know? And those aren't real. And it was one of those things where, again, talking about healthy relationships, didn't grow up seeing what a healthy relationship was. And I was always a kid that was so into TV and films and music. So that was my influence. That's where I got that from. And not knowing that in reality, that's not how that works. And so a big moment for me this year was acknowledging my wrong. I won't say that they weren't wrong at all, because there was definitely some things that, happened that weren't okay, but really taking accountability for my actions and learning to forgive myself for them was a big part of that. I had to tell myself, because when I first took accountability, I was just so disgusted with myself. And I was not very kind to me. And how I spoke to myself, you piece of shit, you don't deserve love. This is how you've been treating people. And then when I got to this point of forgiving myself, I said, you were reacting from what you knew. You were behaving from a place of what you knew. And now that you know better, you can do better. So again, going back to the healing what you reveal, this was something, it took years. But I did eventually get to that insight to realize this is not okay. We need to come back down to cloud 9. So, not cloud 9. We need to come back down to Earth. Okay. Sorry, I'm taking an astronomy class, and I'm in space still. Okay. But to go back to the transition now of where I'm looking at relationships. I went from wanting something that was just sparks and all these just very passionate and love to now you ask me what I want. I want something that's very simple. And I get asked a lot, well, what are you looking for in a relationship? And I didn't know how to verbalize that. It was kind of like, it was always feelings. And I don't know, it happened purely by accident one day. But I was looking at my dream house, or, I just kind of always visualized my dream house. And I realized that the different things that I wanted in my dream house was really a representation of different parts of relationships that I wanted. Okay. And so I then used my dream house as a metaphor for describing my ideal relationship. Because for one, I want a relationship that feels like home. Home is a very sacred thing for me, and it's very important to me. And so I want a relationship that feels like home. And then I got even further. I said, I want a home with really large windows. Well, I want openness in my relationship. I want vulnerability and intimacy to be able to see one another. And then I said, I want an open floor plan. I want transparency. I want openness and open communication in a relationship. I want a couch. I don't know why. I just have this visualization of this sectional couch with really like deep pillowy cushions and fuzzy mixed match socks. That's my image. And I'm like, because I want to feel comfortable. And I want to feel like I can show up as myself, or they can show up as themselves. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be comfortable. And then I said, well, I want my own space. So I want my own room, and for her to have her own room, acknowledging healthy space, right? I'm still my own person. You're still your own person. I want a space where I can still have my office and work on my shit, because as relationship in couples, it shouldn't, I say there should be three bubbles. There should be you, there should be them, and then it should be we. Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's very important to maintain who you are and continue to cultivate what you want. I think you just say that word a lot, cultivate.
I love it. I use it a lot lately, but I need to bring it back.
Yeah. And understanding you still have to develop and work on you, but also then there's this other aspect of working on we, but you still need to have you and I, these separate. Mm-hmm. So yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I love it. So you struck up, that's what I meant by it's all these things naturally flow on the podcast. Mm-hmm. When you were saying that the influences from watching different things on TV and not having that healthy relationship mimic in front of you or just resemble, transitioning to the pillar of goals, going through the things you're going through in a household and in the community, when you graduate high school, you get out in the working force, were you always clear on what the goal was, on what you want to become and do? Or are you more so clear now what the goal is?
Yes and yes.
Okay.
I want to also make note that goals can change.
Yes, they can.
Like you and I were having a conversation before the camera, and I was telling you how I used to be really into music, and my passion for it isn't the same. And now I've developed new passions and new things that I'm wanting to do. So when I was growing up, my whole identity was about being an artist, a music artist. It's like I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. It was only that. And I had took a break from music at one point because, and this is right before COVID hit, so it was 2019. And the crazy thing is I was getting a lot of traction that year. I was doing a lot of performances. I was releasing music. But I got to this point where I asked myself, who are you if you're not an artist? And I couldn't answer that. Mm. I said, if I were to take the title of music artist or songwriter or producer or away, and these are just titles, mm-hmm. and who am I then? And I didn't have an answer for that, and I didn't like that. Mm. And also, during that period of time, I really felt like I was forcing myself to be something that I thought what people wanted me to be instead of what I wanted to be. And so I turned into a kind of artist that I almost didn't recognize anymore because it wasn't me. It was me trying to appeal to audiences that, trying to, make assumptions of what I think people want, trying to be popular and stuff like that. And that just wasn't me. And I got really burned out from it, like people will do with jobs. You get burned out of doing something that just doesn't feel authentic to you. But as a kid, teenager growing up, the goal was I wanted to be the next Beyonce. That was it. Yeah. Okay, you asked me at 8 years old, Nita at 8, was like, girl, listen, I'm going to be the next Beyonce. I'm going to be touring all over the world. And then you become a teenager, and then you become an adult, and life happens. And then, you get turned around, and, your path to your destination shifts and turn, all kinds of stuff happen. You run against roadblocks and things like that. And I there's people in my earlier music career that I used to run with that are still doing music. And I think that is great. And I'm like, hell yeah. I go to the shows, I support them. Mm-hmm. And I always feel a little, damn, like not called necessarily. Okay. Sometimes I get really inspired and I'll go home and work on something, but it's almost kind of like that, damn, that could have been me if I only would have stuck to it. Mm-hmm. But also, I felt like there's nothing wrong with making these, shifts and transitions in life and saying, well, this thing served its purpose. It served me at this time. And don't be wrong. Music is not nothing in my life. I still have all my music equipment at home. Okay. And when I feel inspired, that's the thing. When I feel inspired to create is when I create. I don't force myself to do it. Mm-hmm. And I grew up around, a lot of people in, Kansas City, hustle artists, and I'm all for it, do it. But I was not that kind of person. I don't want to just create just to be creating or just trying to get as much stuff out there. I wanted to create when I wanted to, because that's when it felt more authentic to me. Mm-hmm. Now, again, I am not someone that, is trying to get in the music industry. So that wouldn't work, So like right now, I'm just, when I do music, when I make music, It's purely for me. Sometimes I share, sometimes I don't. It's just my happy place. But I wanted to do music, and then now I am into writing, which I was really into writing growing up. Like I remember, getting, invited to do this really big program for it. It's called Young Authors that only a select amount of students got to do. It's a big achievement in my life, and I used to write short stories all the time. And it took me 7 years to write a book that's like 60 pages. Because inconsistency.
That's real. That's real because I got about like 6 books right now. And it's going over 10 years, and it's because
inconsistency. Yeah. Starting something and not leaving it alone for years. And last year, I just got real serious about it. I said, I'm going to finish this one. It needs to be done. And on December 22nd, almost exactly at midnight, I finished it. And, I put it out self-published. It's not all that great. I don't care. It doesn't bother me either that it's not great, because that's just something I'm just really proud that I finished something that I started. And I said, well, I'm going to take this. I'm going to review what went right, what went wrong, and then I'm going to develop myself as an author and then go and write a full novel, which is what I'm doing right now. Okay. So that's my goal now is to really get into writing, but to also, again, use creativity and creative self-expression as a way of diving into personal and professional development. So that's where we get into the facilitation part that we talked about. Because I put on these workshops, I do presentations that go back to touching on those different topics. And so as a creative person, creativity is always going to be a part of my life. I'm always creative every single day. I'm doing something creative, Yeah. And I want to incorporate that into how I teach people about the different parts of professional and personal development.
I love it. You're so awesome.
Oh my God, why did I do that?
Because, you did that. It reminded me of, what's that actor name? Will Ferrell.
Oh, yeah.
It's a do stuff sometimes. Like that. It's like Step Brothers. Like, why did you do that? Did you?
It just comes out.
That's that.
I know.
Pause. But man, that is amazing and beautiful. You mentioned passions shifting. Mm-hmm. You mentioned being creative. We talked about relationships. You talked about some of your goals. Now, when you were just sharing about the workshops, the person for professional development, these are 2 things in our life that requires one big asset, which is time. Mm-hmm. So, and you mentioned the working on a book for 6 years or 6 months.
It was 7 years, that other book, not the one I'm working on now.
7 years. And you said the real reason is because inconsistency. Yep. Talk to me about some lessons you learned about how time works and how important it is.
I will say, for one, I am a recovering procrastinator. Is it procrastinator? I always forget the R. Recovering procrastinator. And yeah, that was a really big thing for me. And so I wasn't always really good at managing my time. I think a really big problem for me, which is why I can't necessarily relate to workaholics, and I'm surrounded by them. I'm like, I can't relate because I really enjoy my free time. Mm-hmm. And it's important to have free time, but it's all about balance. Right. And so my problem was I would have too much free time and not enough being productive on something. So I have gone back to school. I'm currently in school right now. I'm just trying to finish up my associates at MCC studying psychology. What I do from there, I don't know yet. I'm just trying to get through these last 2 classes because they are... Being a student as an adult with a full-time job, especially when you've been out of school for several years, that'll teach you something about time management.
I promise you.
Okay. So yeah, trying to balance work, trying to balance the additional things that I do. Like for one, I was doing work, but I was also doing another job as the queer youth support leader so for a support group. And then I would do additional workshops and things, just freelance gigs or whatever. and then having to also be a student. And so what helps me also maintains my time management and my stress levels is making sure I make time for me. So making sure that is also a priority. Yes, you can build your schedule out. You can do all these things. Make sure you do a to-do list, whatever. But also make sure that you build time for you in that time frame every day, because that is what's going to keep you going. You cannot be good for you or anyone else if you are burnt out and you don't have anything to give. And you can't put your best foot forward if you're stressed all the time and, you just hustle. I think everything in moderation. There's a time for working your ass off, to hustling hard, to doing all the work, and then there's also time for rest. And so time management is one of those things I'm still constantly having to work on, and I haven't perfected, because again, sometimes it's like I'll make time for the things I really want to do, and then I just don't do the stuff that I need to do, but don't want to or don't feel like doing it at that moment. The problem of mine is I'm always saying, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow comes, I say I'll do it tomorrow." So yeah, I'm working on it, but I am getting better. Yeah.
Yeah, routine. For me, it's the routine.
Yes.
Trying to find a routine and stick to it. And what I recently realized within this week, I was driving on the way back home, and something came to me and it just said, the reason I feel so stuck, the voice said, the reason you feel so stuck is you are so stuck on wanting to be right. I'm like, what means you want to be right? And then I start processing, assessing what that meant. Now, some people is like perfect, like you got to be perfect, and it's kind of like procrastinating. It's kind of like being stuck, but you're creating it because you're trying to be perfect, and there's no such thing as perfect. That's it. And then when you're in arguments, I always want to be right, but I tell people I don't have to be right. If I'm wrong, I'm glad I'm aware that I'm wrong now, but I want to be right. But because of that wanting to be right so much, I don't move because I feel there's something else that needs to be. It's something else I need to know. I need to know that this is the right move. I need to know this is the right play. I need to know this is the right relationship. Right. Yeah. And because of that, you end up being stuck and you don't get it as much done. So trying to find a routine to get time management together, I'm looking at, okay, what does the right day look like? Because I work split shift. I do 2 days nights and 2 days day shift, and I'm off 4 days out the week. And most of we got a lot of time off. Not really, not 4 days off a week. I know y'all look like, well, you're not wrong. 7 days a week, 3 days off. So 3 days a week, it's like I still got content editing. Yep. I still have a daughter I have to call, a nursery relationship, in a relationship. Then I have my business relationships. Then I have my friendships. And then I have my networking time. Then I have an artist on management. They're like, damn, you all over the place. It's like, no, I'm not. Everything just needs a routine. But since I haven't sat down and really put more thought into the routine, I wake up and then I'm like, well, since I don't have one in place, I don't know it. I'll just forget it and I'll just go pick up some extra money, go do some side jobs. I'll go work on my content and I'll stop. Now I go to a networking event. And now I'm all over the place. Still productive. But it's more so that statement is it's better to be productive and not busy, because you got a lot of busy bees, but they're not producing.
That's a good point too. But another good question is, are you making time for feedback?
That's the thing.
See, I keep running into people that's like that.
That's the thing.
I swear I keep having this, I have a lot of friends that are, like you, that have so many hats that they're juggling and doing all these things. But then I ask them, well, when's the last time you had a good rest? Or when's the last time you did nothing? Because you do know you deserve that too. Yeah. Because you got to keep sustaining yourself so you can keep doing all of these things. But just make, just building that. I encourage people to just build it in there as if it is a regular priority, like you do all of these other jobs that you do. Build the time in there for you too, and know that that is your way too of being able to recharge, so you can keep moving forward. Go have fun. It doesn't have to be work all the time.
I know, but see, that's another thing I've been having a lot of discussion with people about fun. It's like we grown now. It's like how you said you realize sometimes you have a little too much free time. everybody's different. I can slip into a moment where it gets addicting to fun, and then I lose perspective of my priorities, responsibilities, and it's like I haven't grown up. Same way you mean grow up seeing healthy relationships. I haven't grew up around people who had the magnitude of success that I wanted. So because of that, the podcast I'm listening to, the books I'm reading, it's that sacrifice, it's that discipline. A 90-day or 6 month or 1 year. Give yourself 1 year and just watch what happens. That can be 1 year of just saving. And you can still have fun, but let's just prioritize $10 out of every check, $200. Let's just sacrifice of just spending check by check, and let's do that. Let's sacrifice not dating nobody for a year. Let's just date yourself. Let's get to know yourself. It's things like that when you say, do you take time to yourself and still have fun? I found ways to have fun by taking time to myself. But when it comes to fun, like engaging everybody, it hasn't necessarily been a memorable moment that I was like, oh, I can't wait to do it again. So now I hear fun, it makes me cringe and think, fun. You know what I'm saying? But I learned how to make my work fun. Like this right we're doing, this is fun. Because I get to learn, I get to get things pointed out, and which I'm taking for myself, not taking too much time. So I like education, I like entertainment, but now I found a way to package it in a way where I don't only benefit, but others that are like me out there benefit.
Yeah, and like you were saying too, that fun is what is fun for you, and if what you're doing is fun, then that is something that's recharging you, right? So you may not even feel like, okay, yes, I'm working, but not only am I working, I'm having fun doing what I do. I'm being productive, is what you said, and I'm learning something. So that can also be recharging in itself. And for me, fun, I'll tell you, one of my favorite things to do that's fun is sitting at home and by myself, and I bought a large box of popsicle sticks, and I build houses.
Okay, that's fun. That's different.
That's fun for me, or maybe I'll go, and I'm a terrible artist, drawing and painting, but I love doing it anyway. So it is that perspective of what fun is. But I do love that you mentioned, like, if you have too much time on your hands, my fun might turn into, something else, and that's a good point of being able to have that awareness, but also, acknowledge that, hey, you are doing a lot of fun things. So, and it sounds like those things are charging you up. So
yeah, that part. So I actually did say charging. So, see, I'm borrowed that. Yeah. So it said fun. What are you doing that's charging yourself, recharging yourself besides sleep? Because I do like shoe pool, but that costs. I do like crafts. You see, I got paint right there and the painting right there. Costs a little bit, but not much. I love bowling. I love hiking. That's for free. I love going for walks. I love sightseeing. I love going to open houses and visualizing, like my dream board, creating that feeling, that touch, intensifying the senses around the dream, the vision. But most of the time, when I have fun, it's probably that subconscious talking about back in the time, things you're familiar with, comfortable with. It's balling out on a high extreme. So my fun used to be, I'm going to the strip club.
Hey,
I'm making rain. I seen Cash Money grow up music videos, and now I'm grown off in the whoop. And then I'm like, damn. Then all of a sudden, reality check hit. Text message come through. Father, can you send me whoop? Damn, I'm a parent. Fuck, that wasn't smart, you know what I'm saying? Or opportunity come up. Oh yeah, Invest Fest 2023. Get a VIP ticket. $1,200. You know what I'm saying? So it's like my fun costs me so much money, and it positions me to miss out opportunities that really matter, that not only can help me and benefit me, but can help my daughter and benefit her. So that's why I had to like reassess like my fun. It's just that it sucks being around people, coming across people, and your fun is things that produce, that help impact and drive other people, and they look at that and call you boring, or that's weird, that's lame. That's what sucks. It's like, you're gonna have some fun. It is fun to me. It's like telling LeBron he not having fun when he out there on the court with the sun and them playing. That's fun. They get paid for it.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I feel that too, because my fun had to change again. I'm sober, and as someone that struggled with alcohol abuse for several years, from when I was 22, 23, first ended up in an AA program, to going in and off, often on the bandwagon of sobriety and drinking, and then I, made a final decision, that I'm done, because now, I have to put me first, and I'm not okay. And I want to be okay. Again, that drive of wanting to always do better. But I also had to learn new ways of having fun. And it was this sobriety journey that got me into doing things that I used to do as a kid that I missed. I was really into arts and crafts as a kid. I would take a toilet paper roll and would envision what it could be. And so I started collecting things like that. Little boxes. If I get a box from Amazon or something, I'll keep the box. If I get toilet paper rolls, I'll keep that. Or certain pieces of material that I just really appealed to me, I'll keep those things. And then just kind of imagine what they could be and just make stuff like a little kid. And that's fun to me. Like I said, I want to make those little cabin houses and what
why you on this song? I want to make one. I ain't made one.
I'm serious. And I'd be so proud of it too when it's finished. Even it looks like shit. Okay, my stuff that I create looks like a fifth grader, or not, a 5-year-old did it.
That's the point.
I had so much fun doing it, and that is what matters. And don't get me wrong. Another part of fun for me is just spending time with people I care about. My friends are very important to me. They are. I call them my friendly. And we'll go out, and a lot of them are sober too, or don't drink very much. So we'll go out to party sometime, and we'll just dance, and that's fun. We're not out there acting crazy. We all of us are in our 30s now, and so it's like 10 o'clock comes around. I know I'm ready to go home.
Yeah, right. My bedtime alarm, 11 o'clock. 11 o'clock, my head got to be in the sheets. 11.
I said, listen, I'm good. Okay, I ain't got here. I danced for an hour. I'm okay. So yeah, just finding ways to be fun and doing it with people who know, have your best interests at heart.
That part, I'm telling you now, like I had just came back home from my daughter's birthday in Chicago, October 1st. So having to talk with my sister, talk with my brother, some of my friends, it's like my friendlies, like you said, friendlies, like they one that really accept me the most and support what I do, and we not have fun with each other and not try to force what each other's idea of fun is on each other. We find a mutual interest and do it. Yeah. Versus my family members, it got to be their way or it's no way. That sucks. And then crafts. We used to make bean poppers when I was a kid.
Excuse what? No, what is that?
Bean poppers.
Bean poppers.
You take a 2-liter pop.
Okay.
You cut off half the little part when it started to get round, and then you take the little latex gloves, cut out the finger or the thumb, depending on how far you want to pull it back. And then you take a little rubber band, wrap it around the top sit part, and then you drop a little bean in the open part, put a little bean. And man. Just pop them. Just aiming at trees.
Just a weapon, huh?
Aiming at ducks. Aiming at each other. That was our paintball BB gun.
Oh, boy.
Bean poppers. And then when you get real bad, we'll be in the hallways. So we live in a lot of apartment buildings and high rises. You'd be in the hallways and have pennies and we'll try to hit somebody's door and hide in the door like it's ding dong ditch or something.
See, my ass be the one to hit myself. Like when you ever do take the rubber bands and you try to, I always end up hitting my own self doing it.
Yeah, I did that a lot. I used to always hit my nose. It was sting like crazy. So speaking of fun and funds, moves our last topic, money.
Yeah.
So how was the philosophy around money growing up, and what is it today?
The philosophy growing up was pretty much money is scarce, and so you have to hold on to it really tight and not ever use it. Even when you have enough, you still can't use it. You just have to hoard it. And I get that to, a certain extent, saving, of course. But also now, as I save, and money is still one of those things I'm trying to master when it comes to saving and everything. And I've gotten a lot better at it. I know that occasionally I'll struggle with just mindlessly spending. And when I think about it, I think about my childhood too, and how, again, money was so scarce. So when I get the mindless spending, I notice that, I'm like, there's this voice in my head. It's like, you're adult now. You can buy whatever you want. And so now it's like, oh, I have this freedom. I have the money now. And so whatever comes to mind that I want, I'm going to buy. Not, what I can afford, of course, right? But also now when I am saving, I always have a purpose for what I'm saving for, because that helps me. That's my motivation. So if you're just saving just to be saving, for me, it can be easy to just, abandon that idea because there's no power behind it. There's no motivation for it. There's no fire. But if I say that I'm saving for a vacation, or I'm saving to get a new apartment or a new car, or something that is meaningful for me. I'm really into experiences. I like to travel. I was really fortunate last year to travel to 4 or 5 different places. And this year I haven't traveled as much because I'm saving for next year to, again, kind of do like a repeat. But,
I enjoyed that.
Yeah. And it's like, eventually, I would hope that, I feel really financially comfortable and secure that I can take many vacations every year. I don't have to, save for a whole year, 1 year, just so I can take some vacations the following year. But also with me and money, it's and maybe you can relate to this. You feel like you get in a really good place, and then something happens unexpectedly, where now all this, money, you feel like you're comfortable now, you got your vacation, and you have to spend all this extra money on these unexpected expenses. And that's been something that happens to me a lot for some reason. It really pisses me off. Like if for some reason, when I get my income taxes, what do you call it? Return? Income taxes back. I swear something goes wrong where I have to use a lot of that money. But my mindset for it really now is I don't want to look at it from a point of scarcity. I like to tell myself that money flows to me with ease. That's my affirmation. I want to develop a healthy relationship with money where I don't want to fear. I don't want it to be like this thing where there's fear between me and money, or the lack thereof. I don't want to put that kind of energy out there. I want to put the kind of energy that money, again, flows to me with ease, and I have a healthy relationship with money. And even when I have like those unexpected expenses that come up, or, I have to take there's a dip in my income or whatever, I always tell myself this is just temporary. I'm going to re-up though, and this phase is just temporary because I'm going to make everything I lost back and then some. So that's the kind of mindset I have. And so really changing my relationship with money, and stop looking at it from a point of scarcity, because you do pick that up from your parents. I know I picked it up from my mom, but also valuing it too as well. Don't just be spending on mindless things. I do give myself grace sometimes to just go and splurge or whatever, spend it on whatever. Splurge, okay, God, that Amazon Prime gets to me, okay? Okay, I got to buy a costume this weekend and everything. But yeah, just developing a healthy relationship, and that starts with the mindset of letting, saying, hey, money comes, it comes, it's going to keep coming. And I just say, I'm never going to be without. And I know I'm not saying that in a cocky way or anything. It's just the kind of energy I want to put out there. That's it.
Yeah, intention and energy is everything. Money for me, when I grew up, it was always, man, where do you think money come from? Money don't just grow on trees.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, man, it's really grow on trees. It's paper. Okay. It's already grown. But yeah, so it was like my dad had me at 53 years old. So his mindset was always penny pinch and save the dollar, buy the cheapest things, Walmart clothes. Case was like, I had none of the popular stuff. So because of that lack, that caused me to get into streets activities, stealing, drug dealing, scamming, anything make money so I can feed for myself. And all this is during teenage ages. Then the shift for me, was when I moved to Kansas City, got into network marketing, MLM, Amway. They put me on the Zig Ziglar, they put me on all these books, and I started finding related videos on YouTube to other network marketing speakers. And till today, I never said it on camera. It's the first time I said it on camera. 2 of my biggest mentors that helped, 3 of my biggest mentors that helped shift my mindset around money is, number 1, Zig Ziglar. Number 2, Jim Rohn. And number 3, Holton Bugs. Holton Bugs, I think still today is the number 1 or top 5 income earners in network marketing, started his own company.
Mm-hmm.
And this man owns real estate. And I was watching one of his videos and he said, today I'm going to talk to you about cost versus value. Stop saying I can't afford it. Because a lot of people are like, we can't afford that, we can't afford that. Or, just cut back, shimmy down. Like, if you got a 2-bedroom apartment, go down to a studio apartment. You got to become inconvenient. Same thing like Lisa Nichols did. She inconvenienced herself, but she inconvenienced herself and took the extra money and started sending herself checks to her bank saying funding my dream. Like you said, they got to be backed by something. Mm-hmm. But other people, they just tell people cut back just so they can get out of debt and just save emergency money. So that wasn't me. Mm-hmm. And Holden Bug said, stop saying I can't afford it and start looking at cost versus value. Who do I need to become in order to afford it? Mm-hmm. That was a big shift for me. Who do I need to become to afford it? Because then you can start looking at things from, that costs more. No, it's not cost. Is it valuable to me and in which way? You know what I'm saying? That's how you value your money, you value your time. That helped. And then it was Jim Cathcart. That's a bonus I'm gonna give y'all. Jim Cathcart. Check it out. It's a video on YouTube called he was talking about this, can't think of the name. I'll put it in the description. It was he was talking about this young dude that was also a network marketing company that went on the top salesman for Tidy Car. And he said at the end he followed him, the speaker, and ironically the speaking engagement was in Chicago. So he told him like, Mr. Cathcart, is there a quote, an idea, or a phrase you can tell me every night before I go to sleep? He said, you know what? I got a better one for you. I have a question. Ask yourself the question every night when you wake up and before you go to sleep. Who is the person I would like to be? No, how would the person I would like to be do the things I'm about to do every night? How would don't think about somebody else that you want to be like, but think about the future you, the better version, the higher version of yourself. How would you do the things that you're about to do right now? Mm-hmm. And that shifted my mindset. And because of that, them activities that take action is what led me to speak on stage with Les Brown, meet Grant Cardone, all them people, start meeting Dr. Umar Johnson, 19 Keys, so many other people, Damon John from FUBU when he had dropped his book, Rise of the Entrepreneur. So many connections I made behind the scenes going to support these people off them philosophies. Game changer. Mm-hmm. Game changer.
I like that. Can you say that one more time for us? The same before you go to bed. What question you should ask yourself?
Look at the person that you would like to become and ask yourself, how would the person I would like to become do the things I am about to do?
How would the person I would like to become do the things I'm about to do? So I'm gonna take that with me.
Mm-hmm.
I like
put
that
in the description.
Yeah,
that's a big one. It took me a while to keep playing it over and over, hearing it. But when you hear the whole story, when he tells it, you will see what he meant. Because at the end, he said, at the large conference years later, it was 3 finalists. But he said the number one person, they said it was a close race, but the number one person, it wasn't close at all. He outbeat everybody by like 1,000 numbers. And they said, they mentioned the dude's name, he called him out. Everybody's going crazy and all that. And he was like, man, how did it feel? He's like, I just did what you told me to do back in Chicago. He's like, specifically, what did I tell you to do back in Chicago? He's like, the question. And they said it. And he was like, so you telling me you didn't know you won this whole time? And you came out here? You're like, yeah, I flew out here one way. And you didn't even know you won? Yeah. You flew one-way ticket and you didn't even know you won. He's like, hey, Jim, because the person who won number one wins a red Corvette. He's like, Jim, think I'll be needing to ride home? And started clapping. Because he told himself, like, if I was the person that won the competition, how would I show up? Shit, I go first class. I already know I got the car. So it's kind of like in the Bible when it said, Paul said, call forth those things that are not as though they were.
Mm-hmm.
You have to really become a person of intent. And when you have intent and you back it by passion, which in the Bible says, where your treasure is, there will your heart be also.
Ah, I like that. Where your treasure is where your heart will be also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice.
So, as we wrap up the podcast, I like to do rapid questions for my guests. You don't have to think too hard. Just it's a comparison game. Which one you prefer over the other?
Okay.
The first one is, if you had to choose, which one would it be? Time or money?
Time.
Goals or relationships?
Relationships.
And if you could pick only one word to describe who you are, what would that one word be?
Here.
That's different. Unpack that for me.
Because I'm here. I think about, again, talking about my resiliency. I think about how everything I've gone through has led me to each and every moment that I get to be on this earth. And as long as there's air in my lungs and my heart is beating, I still have a chance to live to my fullest potential and to be the best version I can be. So as long as I'm here, and I'm always going to be here, even when my body is not here anymore, I'm still going to be here. And so therefore, we all are everlasting. And so I don't know, that's just what comes to my mind. I just like being here. I like being present instead of being in my head.
That part, yeah. That's a battle. That's a battle. I love that. I never heard nobody say that before. I like that. Yeah. No, that's my favorite song too. The lady asked me what would be a theme song in your life. I said entirely. It's like, yeah, I never thought about that. I picked titles about chapters of my life, but it'd be a Mr. Care here.
Yeah.
I love that.
I'll have to listen to that when I.
You never heard it?
Oh, I've heard it. I'll just have to listen to it again.
And then the last rapid question is, when it's all said and done, because we all have our time to be called, when it's all said and done, we transition from this life on earth, what would you like it to say on your tombstone? In 2 sentences or less.
This is going to be stupid, but see you around like a donut. I don't know why that came to my mind.
I like that.
Because it is a saying I used to always say as a kid. And I am a big believer in being in tune with our inner child. I think that is one of our powers in life, is and what's fueling us. And so see you around like a donut was it's how I would like to leave this earth, is just have that on my, because it's, when you say bye to someone, I don't like to say bye all the time. Well, I'm okay with it now, but before I didn't like to say goodbye, so I would always just say see you around like a donut.
I like that. That's different. That's unique. Because at first it might sound stupid. No, that sounds so creative and unique. And yeah, I like it. Okay. And then most of my viewers on my podcast are millennials, and some of them are what's the ones that come after millennials? Gen Z?
Gen Z.
So millennials and Gen Z. But millennials, most people don't know, because they hear the word millennial. It's 18 to 35. So for those who are be younger than 21 years old that's watching this podcast, or even some that's in their early 30s, mid 30s, and just haven't found their purpose, or feel a little stuck in life, or facing no mental challenges, that self-sabotage talk, what advice would you give them in 2 minutes if this was your last moment on earth and you only had 2 minutes to give life advice? What advice would that be?
My advice would be quiet and listen to yourself instead of everybody else. Because one of my favorite quotes is, in the center of in the center of your being, you know who you are and what you want. That's by Lao Tzu, I believe it is. It's a Chinese philosopher. So listen to you first and block out the rest of the noise. You hear me? Or I will find you. I'm sorry.
See, that's that shadow side coming out. Man, I love it. Well, again, I appreciate you for joining the Move Different podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I would definitely have to have you for a part 2. And before we get up out of here, are there any projects, events, anything that's coming up, any books that they should look out for, and where can they find you online?
Well, I'll start with online. You can find me on Instagram, Nita Hughley. Also, feel free to add me on Facebook as well under the same name, Nita, Nita, and Hughley, Hughley. And I'm working on my first novel right now, highlighting queer women's stories. I do have a novella that's currently out called The Rose of Jericho. You can find that on Kindle. Yeah, I am going to continue to build programs and workshops and presentations around the Kansas City Metro. Again, bringing in creative self-expression and combining that with personal development and professional development. You can also catch me at Mid-Continent Public Library. We do events all the time, and a lot of the presentations that I do are through that company. Square One is the department that I'm with. So feel free to go to mcpl.org or mymcpl.org /Square One, and you can come check me out sometime.
Awesome. I love it. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a lovely day on the podcast, Move Different Mondays. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button, follow, share, comment, and please support the channel. And with all being said and done, please always remember, sharpen your awareness, KB Intelligence.
Like a Zam. I ain't acting, I'm just speaking what I see behind the lens. Even though I'm speaking roles, the creator I am.
Watch the rest devour.